So your question was why we want to use summation convention, right? Or index, this dummy indices will give you actually when index repeats twice, that means that there is a summation outside. So to understand that, let us just look at one problem. So I write delta II. Suppose I am looking at the 3 dimension. What is the value of this? It is 3. Okay. So suppose I don't use the summation convention, okay, or index notation. How do I write the same equation? Okay, you can write it as summation I is equal to 1 to 3 delta II. But still I use the index notation, but not use the summation convention. Okay. So if you don't want to use both of them, this is basically equal to delta 1 plus 2 2 plus delta 3 3. So you can choose whether you want to write like this or you want to write like this. Okay, it is up to you. But when you do a lot of calculations, okay, it is easy to represent the equations using the index notation. That's all. Okay? Yeah. So yesterday we said that A dot B, the two vectors dot product.
One small doubt. Sir, if we use sigma notation, can we put 3 indices like epsilon naught 1 1 1 I? If we use sigma there.
No, that is wrong. Okay. So this is epsilon I is wrong.
If we put a sigma with it.
In even sigma, even with the see, so that's what if you are not using summation convention, suppose you are not using summation convention, okay, then you write down I is equal to 1 to 3, okay, epsilon I. You can do that, no problem.
This is correct, right?
Yeah, okay. So you can do this, okay. So the problem is what will be the answer for this? Suppose you are not using the summation convention and the index notation, this you can write down, there is no problem with this. So this will be equal to 0. Okay. So you can do that, but you are not using that, okay, that convention, that's all. Okay, but in your calculation you are using the summation convention and index notation, don't write like this. Okay. So this is basically how many terms? Epsilon 1 1 1 plus epsilon 2 2 2 plus epsilon 3 3 3. Okay, there are 3 terms in this. So okay, so let us look at this A dot B, which I can write down. Okay, so again, suppose I can, using index notation, I can simply write this as AI BI, right? The dot product between two vectors, I can simply write like this, AI BI. If you are not using summation convention, there will be a summation here, okay, and I is equal to 1 to 3. If you are not using the index notation, this will be A1 B1 plus A2 B2 plus A3 B3. So that's it. So now suppose I want to, so is there any comment from the class? So suppose, yeah?
I think recording has not become actually.
So the dot product I can write it as AI BI. So what about the cross product A cross B? So this also I can write it as using index notation and using the Levi-Civita symbol. So this is basically, so what I can do is I can write down the ith component of this as epsilon I j k aj bk. Okay. So ith component of A cross B is epsilon ijk aj bk. Can you just take 2 minutes to verify this? Whether this is correct, because you know at least the A cross B first, that is x component. What is the A cross B's x component? Yes?
A2 B3 minus A B3
A2 B3 minus A3
B2.
B2. So now let us look at here. Okay. So this is the Levi-Civita symbol. So ith component of this, suppose I is 1. Okay. So I is 1, basically, so this is equal to, I just write down epsilon 1 jk. So how many free index are in this? 1. I is a free index, because you see left hand side I is there. And j and k are dummy indices, right? So j appears twice, k appears twice. So there is a summation over j, there is a summation over k. Now I am explicitly writing down the first component. Okay, so just to verify. So this is equal to this, just to make you to understand that it is same. Okay, so I am just writing down the first component, okay, or x component, which is equal to epsilon 1 j k a j b k. Okay. So how many terms are there in this? J is summed from 1 to 3, k is summed from 1 to 3. How many?
9.
9 terms are there. But what are the terms which are non-zero in this? Okay. It is very, so you know that answer, you know that only 2 terms are there. But how do you understand that? So now, this is already 1. So if what are the values now j can take? If you want a non-zero result. Yeah?
2, 3 and 2. So 2 or 2.
J can take either 2 or 3. Okay. Suppose j, if you take 2, what k can take?
3, only 3.
Only 3. So let us first write down that one. So when j is 2, so epsilon 1, 2, 3, A2, B3. Okay. Now j is equal to, you can take j equal to 3, right? Next is j is equal to 3 option. So k can take only the value 2, right? So 1, 3, 2, A3, B2. What is epsilon 1, 3, 2?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. So you get minus A3, B2. So similarly other components also you can easily verify that. Okay. So A cross B ith component will be equal to epsilon ijk aj bk. So any question on this?
No.
Okay. So now you see, yeah,
I have one question, sir. So
Yeah.
this is only valid for three, like for if both A and B are like they're three-dimensional vectors, right?
yeah. So now we are actually writing down for a 3-dimensional case. Okay. So that's what I am saying. Now for time being we are now sticking to the 3-dimensional case. Okay. So
Is it possible to generalize it to n dimensions?
that's what it is possible to generalize to n dimensions. You have to use the higher dimensional epsilon. So I'll come to that. Okay. So because this is only 3-dimensional Levi-Civita, so you have to look at the higher dimensional Levi-Civita symbols. Okay. So yeah. So let us now stick to 3 dimension. Now so just I want to mention, because this C A cross P you have just written as a one equation. Suppose you want your usual way of writing down, if I want to write down A cross B, what you do? What usually you were doing? I want
Make
matrix and see matrix and you do certain, because that is only some convention you are doing and it's not a determinant x component and doing that. So that way you are right. You inherently you say that okay, this is not a determinant. What you do is you write down s cap, y cap, z cap, and you write down a1, b1, c1. Sorry, A1, A2, A3 and B1, B2, B3. Okay, so then we have an understanding it's not a determinant. Okay, you write down S cap and A2, B3 minus A3, B2. Okay, so like that you have to write down. Now using the index notation and the Levi-Civita symbol, you are able to write it in a similar manner. But this will become, you can immediately see that. So there were so many formulas you have learned in your earlier classes. For example, what is A cross B cross C? What is A cross B cross C? You know the formula, right? To write down this.
A in bracket multiplied by B dot C. A then bracket multiplied by B dot C.
Okay.
Minus sign. Then sir B. With and then dot.
C dot A or A dot C?
Say A dot C.
A dot C. Okay. So let us see how you can derive this formula very quickly using epsilon ijk. Okay. So means Levi-Civita symbol and index notation. So before that I just want to tell you one formula. So that is basically this product of two Levi-Civita symbol epsilon ijk and epsilon ilm. See, the one index in both are same. Okay, so this is I, jk, I, lm. Okay, so what will be this one? If I multiply, what kind of tensor I am going to get? If I multiply these two,
Sir, rank 4.
yeah,
Rank 4 times.
rank 4 tensor. Okay, so let us see. So this I can write it down as delta JL delta KM minus delta JM delta KL. So this formula, you learn this formula. It's a very simple way you can learn because one of the index is same. So what you do is you leave that two, anyway that is summed over. So you take the other two. Okay, you put either the same symbol in the first place or the second last place, does not matter. Then you take, so delta J into L, first to first, second to second, and delta K into M. So that is this term. Then first to third and second to third to second. So delta JM delta KL. Okay. So this is equal to this. So this formula will be useful when you derive certain identities. So now I have to write down A cross B cross C. So this is a vector, right? So I can write, so I have to write down ith component of this. What is the ith component of this vector? This I have to find out. So you club this B and C together. Okay. So using the Levi-Civita symbol, how can I write down? Because this B cross will be in another vector. You see that is a D. So A cross D. So epsilon I j k A j B cross C k. Right? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is fine now. Now what you want to do is this is equal to epsilon I j k. Aj you keep it there. What is B cross C k? That also I can write it as a using epsilon. Okay, so that is means epsilon k. So I should not use what are the index I have used so far. So epsilon k L Lm Bl Cm. Okay, done. Okay, so now I have two epsilons coming into the picture now. So that I can write it as epsilon I j k, which is common in this. K is common, right? This epsilon I j k and epsilon k l m, k is common. So I want to take this k to the first place. So epsilon I j k is equal to epsilon k k I j. Epsilon k I j, okay, then epsilon k l m, then A j B l C m. Fine. So now let us write down the expression using the identity earlier we said. So this will be equal to epsilon, not epsilon, delta I L delta J M. I am going very slowly because I want all of you to pick up this. So then delta I M delta J L A J B L C M. Fine? Okay. So now look at this term and this term. So these are basically two terms are there. So delta IL, delta JM, AJ, BL, CM. Okay. So you remember in our first expression, when you written, how many free index are there? The original equation we started with, right? How many free index were there? Only one free index. What was that free index? I. So in this expression is I is the only free index? I appearing only once. L is summed over. J is summed over. M is summed over. So similarly in the second expression. So our things are correct, okay? So there is no mistake in between. So now, so you apply the, okay, so let me write down this explicitly because I don't want to do it directly. So AJ BL CM minus delta IM delta JL AJ BL CM. Okay. So now you look at all this expression. Can I remove these deltas? You remember the rule I said yesterday. If there is a delta and if the one of the index is summed over, I can remove that delta and replace that index with the second index of that delta in the expression. So delta IL is any of this, I is anyway free, L is summed over, right? So what should I do? I should remove this delta and wherever L is appearing, I should keep I. So this will be BI. Now delta JM is, both are basically summed over. So I can replace either of them. Okay. So I replace M with J and remove this delta. So I get AJ CJ, right? AJ BI CJ. Now what about now you tell me the second expression. What are you going to get?
AJ, BJ, CI.
AJ, BJ, CI.
Yes.
So this one, can I write it as AJ, CJ, BI? Can I write this way? AJ, CJ, BI, because they are numbers. So I can keep it wherever I want. Okay.
Yes.
So what is AJ, BJ? A dot B.
Dot product of the income.
Yeah, AJ, BJ is A dot B. Okay. CI. What is AJ, CJ?
Dot product of A and B.
So so your starting point was A cross, B cross, C, ith component. So this vector's ith component is something into ith component of V minus something into some constant into ith component of C. So what is A cross B cross C equal to that? A dot C B minus A dot B. Fine? Okay. So similar way, so many identities are there. Now you try to solve those identities. Now you are understood how to use this index notation and this tensors, Levi-Civita, symbol and delta, Kronecker delta to solve these identities. Okay. So suppose there are three vectors which are non-coplanar. Okay. So is this ABC form a parallel pipe? Yes or no? Yeah. So they are non-coplanar. Okay. So basically each of them are independent of other one. Okay. So we are going to talk about the linear independence of the vectors. Okay. So they are non-coplanar. So what will be A dot B cross C? Is that the volume of that parallel pipe?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So you can find out the volume using A dot B cross C. So what is A dot B cross C? I can write it as determinant of A dot A dot B, A dot C. Okay. What will be the next term? B dot A, B dot B, and B dot C, then C dot A, C dot C, C dot B, and C dot C. Okay. So this will be equal to A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3 modulus square. Okay. So determinant of this one. So this you can actually verify. Okay. This quantity is equal to this. So if these three vectors are coplanar, what are you going to get? This quantity is
0.
0. Otherwise, if they are not coplanar, this quantity will be equal to
volume of
volume, whether can I say it is greater than 0?
Yes.
Because it's a determinant square. Okay. So if three vectors are linearly independent, okay, so I will talk about linearly independency soon, okay, but coplanar basically means they are linearly independent, okay. So then we say that this A dot B cross C and this determinant is actually greater than 0. So this is called Gram determinant. Okay. So this determinant is called Gram determinant because it's very crucial to find. Yeah.
Sir, one doubt. I thought the square is not here.
Square is not there.
Determinant square. Sir, above determinant.
Yes,
So you are saying whole square.
So this square is not there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So just verify that whether square is there or not. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So fine. So any questions so far? Okay, if there is no other question, so let us move on to the next. So similarly, actually, if you know that you have learned divergence, curl, and etc., because I am not going to teach those things, but all those expressions like del cross del dot f, okay. So I can actually represent this one using basically the index notation. Okay, so I will come to that soon. So before that, I just want to complete where we stopped yesterday. That is, the rotation metrics are the orthogonal metrics are if determinant of that R is is equal to 1, we say that is a proper rotation, and determinant of R is equal to -1, we say that it is an improper rotation. Okay. So now, so you can see that vectors can actually do these proper and improper rotations. So what is a vector and what is a pseudo vector? So both, so what is a vector? Is a vector now under both the proper rotation and improper rotation, okay, it actually transforms the way our the coordinate transform, okay, that is basically the vector or polar vector, okay, that is both under proper and improper rotation they transforms like the coordinate transform. So a pseudo vector is actually transforms like a vector transform under proper rotation, but under improper rotation they will acquire an extra negative sign. Is that clear? Okay. So if it is a pseudo vector after rotation, okay, whatever the new vector you are getting, okay, just this R will not be sufficient. You have to put in an extra negative sign. Okay. So that we will see. You have already seen pseudo vectors in your earlier classes. Okay. So similarly for the vector and the scalar and the tensor also the same definition. So under improper rotation, the pseudo either scalar or pseudo vector or pseudo tensor will acquire an extra negative sign. Okay. So can you give me an example of a improper rotation?
inversion of coordinate system.
Okay, so let us look at the reflection. Okay, reflection about. So this is x. So x, y, z. So reflection of Okay. So reflection about the xy plane. Okay. If it's a reflection about the xy plane, okay, so what will happen to the point? X will goes to x prime, y will goes to y prime, and z will goes to minus z prime. Or what you can say is z prime is equal to minus z, okay, and y prime is equal to y and s prime is equal. So what will be that your R matrix in that case? Under reflection, what will be the R matrix? This will be 1, 1, and this will be minus 1, right? So determinant of this one is negative 1. Okay. Similarly, the parity transformation, every x going to minus x prime, y going to minus y prime, and z goes to minus z. So that means all these things are minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. Okay. Basically R going to minus R. Okay. R going to minus R. So that is a parity transformation. So in that case also determinant of R is minus 1. So that is also an improper rotation. So the reflection, this one. So under this kind of things, suppose there is a vector in both the transformation, it actually goes like a vector. Okay, but if it is a pseudo vector, it has to occur an extra sign. So for example, you take L R cross P. This is angular momentum, right? So if it is a proper rotation, obviously R will goes to minus R, P will goes to minus P. So what will you get? R cross P, because R is a vector, P is also a vector. So R will goes to minus R, right? And P will goes to minus P. If it is a parity transformation, we are looking at this parity transformation. Okay, so that is an improper rotation. So this R will goes to minus R and P will goes to minus P. Then what will happen to L? L is same because you got a minus minus sign here. Okay, but if it is a vector, L should what should happen to this vector? L also should goes to minus L, right? But you are getting, because this equation has to be satisfied. Okay, so in the new coordinate frame also L is equal to R cross P. So L has to occur another sign to become minus L, right? Okay, so because of, so then this L is a pseudo vector. So now you can give me, can you give me another example of a pseudo vector? Torque.
Magnetic field.
Can you be louder?
Magnetic field.
Magnetic field, yes, that is a pseudo vector. Okay, so now you have understood this index notation and the rotation and what is a proper rotation, improper rotation, and what is tensor. So any question on this part? I think we can move to the new topic in the next class.